We're in that energy. Howdy ho, neighbors. It is, I wanted to say November, so maybe that'll make sense in a minute. December 18th, 2024, and it's Wednesday. And when you start living more in a flow and with cosmic energies in being a pure creator being, because there's stages on it to where you're building up your own energy to then create with it. But you start understanding, even whenever you make, we've all been healing timelines, right? We've all been healing past stuff. All of us were having to go back to the past. We were having to go collect da 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 da. We all did all that stuff for a reason. And the reason is so that whenever these timelines are coming to reconnect, because they got to reconnect. But those of us who cleaned out all the time clocks and that were involved with all the in-betweens of a machine that was being run by one particular energetic group that did not have the best interest for the human race. And there's a bunch of them down here. And their energy is like a current, just like our current. And that current is being run from the energies of where the planets are and what star systems that energy is in the wheel. So all this stuff, even with like XRP, because we're gonna talk about a few things. I'm coming on here because I just felt like I was about to blow up, because I needed to get on, because I've been talking to you guys individually, and it is the energy. We went and cleared the financial grid yesterday, and I'm gonna show y'all some pictures probably. I was freaking energized, like I was plugged into something. The chart that I'm about to do, which is the one that we've been waiting on, is one that I did hers way back in 2018 before I even had all the knowledge. And I did pull her chart up yesterday, and she has Mars retrograde like right there. And so I pulled up her chart. I took a screenshot of it, and normally that's whenever I would sit down and then I would sit and do a chart. But no, it was all of a sudden I was getting dressed and I was going shopping. I was getting dressed and I was going shopping. So I'm going to show y'all some pictures, because remember, we have these gifts and abilities right now, and we were unseen and we're still unseen. If we're still not being seen, there's a reason, because we're working behind the scenes in a force. So also XRP and XLM and all of that we called in on that video the other day. And then one of the girls made a move, and holy shit, that is also what triggered all of this. Because remember, we planned all of this in the ethers, even like we're unlocked, and how these financial grids and how these grid systems work, because these different energetic financial currents are held by specific collectives. And the problem is that current has always been one current that was then split into multiple currents by different ways of gridding down and distorting and manipulating frequencies, period, dot. So all of us, have y'all seen Stepford Wives? Have y'all seen Stepford Wives? If you haven't seen it, go to Tubi, it's free, and watch it again. Because It blows my mind. But if I go back into the journey, because what they had and captured me for was cleaning the money. They used me to make the first bit. We alchemized it to bring it in. Those of us that were tied to your Tartarian banking infrastructure, Masonic structures of any sort, all over the world that held any of that core power, were what was processed to make bit and the infrastructure that was holding bit. It's why it really is blood. Now, that infrastructure and these in betweens that we're building, because the technology is just giving us ways to realize then how we're even doing it, and then we're in a collective current for the first time, and so the technology is changing quickly because it's already there on the other side. It was more waiting for the human body to come into it correctly. And how they were turning their wives into ATM cash registers, fucking legit what they were planning on doing to all of us. I mean, legit. Like Lindsay Lohan and, oh my God, Jessica Simpson. That's the other thing. I had to buy Jessica Simpson sunglasses. It was part of the thing. Like, and this has something to do with the Gypsy connection into the Madonna temple, and attached into the original beings that sank in the Titanic, and the original bonds and the original names of all that were on there, that then family lines were made from and spun from when they died and took over their inheritances and stuff like that, attached into the bonds that the government has. Because realize our consciousness reads all data. Like, it's how we were able to get this far. So we're right now, especially, we're in a time of the complete unseen being seen in various ways, in all different dimensions, within and without, in everything that is going on in your world right now. We're lining up for this second new moon. And so as soon as I got back, and then the sky cracked open, and it was like light. Let me show you. Hi, how are y'all? I didn't even set up my cash register, so I think we're safe. But right before I went and listened to what I did. See, we're also realize right now, everybody. Because it's in the middle of the unseen, you're gonna start. I was just on a live. Right before I got on here, I jumped on a YouTube live. It's a reader that's in another country that I see her stuff sometimes. I mainly look at her headings. I don't listen to all the tarot readings all the time. I'll just read I've learned, like, I get my messages and I've tuned my little world and I've called it in, because you can do these things. This is how you work with your technology to bring you your messages as a queen, because now you only want to magnetize in what needs to come into you to complete you, because you're more complete than everyone else. That's how you can see the holes. But right now it's wide open. So I was just on, and be careful right now, jumping on lives, okay? If you jump on a live and you start feeling some weird energy, I want you to start watching the feeds, because they're on there making commands. They're on there spinning Babylonian spells. And you'll start feeling it in your body. It just happened with me. It just happened. I jumped over there, and then so there was a back and forth, and there was like, and it's happened. This used to happen on YouTube a lot, okay, in 2018. It's like I would get on certain YouTube lives, And do y'all remember? Does anybody remember in 2018 when we'd be on those big group lives and and in the live, in the discussion, you would be having other dimensional conversations with certain beings that were on the live? Well, that's turned back on because I just witnessed it again and I haven't witnessed it since 2018. But the reason I was able to see it is because that dude was on there. You could he was just writing bad shit. He was just writing bad shit to happen for either the reader or everybody on the feed. Now's the time that you're going to start seeing that. So if you jump on, this is where you want to start showing yourself. Now let me tell you why I did that. I probably did that because I already had the window open to come do this live. So I was on there transmuting that energy and it was going through my body, man. I was pulling it on him because he got cocky with me and I don't even have to say much anymore. Now, anymore is the key. I don't have to say much anymore. Now I've gotten, because I've had so many little standoffs with those energies on there at all different times on other people's lives and through electronics and everything else, and being able to read the energy of the force that's coming at me through the lines, because it's what's affecting everybody, and that's what energetic you're dealing with. It's not a specific person, it's an energetic that's meaning some intention that's bad, which is why you're there to begin with. It's why Source sent you there. So what you learned how to do in your own way is contain it. Well, it took me 4 or 5 years to get it to where I can just put some little emojis and I can flush it to them. It didn't start out that way. I wouldn't suggest doing it how I did it. I did it like a roaring dragon fucking screaming at everybody, but I was the messenger and I was screaming trying to get everyone's attention, is like Paul Revere. So, I mean, it really was like, and the fact that we could even speak and that we were there to scream was like a miracle in and of itself, you know? So but I've learned over time and being in these energetics and embodying more and more of it, how to hold my energy field to where anybody that's fucking with me, if I get my eyes on you in any way, if you get zeroed out, you're going to feel me. You're going to know I'm not fucking around. But all I'm there doing is keeping the peace. Why are you over here trying to spin magic on this lady's website? That's your business. I don't know why they were there. I don't know why I got called over there. But I transmuted that energy right before I came on this live. And look, we don't have a bunch of weird little troll people. Your insides are shaking. So let's breathe, because I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to be doing on this video. There's a lot of chaos energy because of what I'm just talking about right now. 303. I'm going to show y'all some cool pictures because I'm going to show y'all how you blow grids. I look completely awful. I have not a stitch of makeup on, and YouTube has no filters. So this is raw me. Let's take a deep. I'm seeing 55272. 55272. 5599. 303. Let's take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, blow out. 1, 2, 3, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, blow out. 1, 2, 3, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Now allow your energy field to rebalance. Now take a breath and blow out your skin. Say, body, blow my breath and oxygen out of my skin. Ready? Do it slow. Take a breath. Rebalance. You want to breathe it out slow. And you want to picture everything in your body and all your cells and skin opening up and push it out. Push your energy into the field. Push your energy into your field. One more. Blow out your skin. Slow push. Notice where it's coming from. Notice where you feel the connection in your field whenever you attach into your field and fill your field up. Just notice, everyone's going to be different. Woo, whoever just jumped on, I felt it. That was Robin. I felt it. Whoa. Did y'all feel the energy? It went, boom. Okay. Whenever you start spinning out like at all, and in the very beginning, your body's just getting used to holding these in-between consciousnesses, okay? If you're feeling any type of battle right now, no matter what it is, it's you getting from this band of frequency to this band, and just know that you're breaking these, and as soon as you break these, you jump into a collective energy that's going to start bringing you more and more peace, where you can hold this frequency all the time better. So at different stages, you're going to, at the beginning, you start doubting. Well, that's because you've hit the ceiling. When you start doubting, no, you hit the ceiling. You hit the ceiling of the consciousness. You're about to break through it, okay? That's why you start doubting. When you start doubting, stop, breathe 3 times, just consciously breathe. That's it. Just consciously breathe. When you start spinning out on anything, remember, we are in these in-betweens, you're connecting. Your energy is getting pulled out and up, but it's flushing from below. And it all depends on your energy sequences and what you're connected into and what your energy frequencies are, as to how that's pulling you, how it's transmuting you, whatever. This is why to a degree all of this is teaching you how to work this energy through your instrument as your instrument is getting turned on. And you can't just pick up a fucking guitar and just start going at it. You can if you are like an incarnate and you're connected to which is kind of like the conscious library that brought you Kohu 32. And we each have our little Akashic libraries of what we bring into this new energy. The process of working in this new energy and transmuting it with the collective and building stuff with it and breaking and coming against the energetics that are trying to do the opposite of what we need them to do as the people is still ongoing, because those of us are up here doing that part still right now. Because Mars is retrograde. Mars is retrograde. Okay? Mars is going, that's all to do with abuse of power. And it's going to go all the way back into Cancer. It's gonna go all, I'm gonna turn this light off my face. It's gonna go all, I mean, that's what, when I got back from doing our little freaking energy mission that we did all together. So if you felt some type of woo 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 whoopla, let me show you. Because we the collective, we've been, this is what we've been building. See, no matter how, what they built the false matrix over, I mean, I need everyone to understand, no matter what they thought that they did and built on whatever the hell that they built, they didn't realize that we had already connected everything with the pure frequency, with the divine feminine, with the earth, with the Alamo. And we took the Alamo and took that infrastructure in 2018. They didn't know we did that. The whole setup in Austin was for a 2020 connection, but they didn't, and they thought that they had then forced me to the Alamo, and they thought that they had gotten everything from the hall, which is all the halls of Amente, how it's connected into the financial system for the futures and the digital currency, and how it's all, I mean, you're basically, because we're in a harvesting machine. Like, that's what you just have to come to realize. What we're determining and seeing now is that, okay, well, we can move around the XRP and the XRLM. We can actually we can. And actually the cosmos is showing us how to do it, but it's just, we're just channeling it when it needs to happen. We're not trying to force it either. But all of us are starting to realize, okay, we were somebody's weird Stepford wife. All right, well, I finished processing, and guess what? This Barbie has no master. And in fact, this Barbie turns everybody into that, which is what's been going on, which is why you tried to turn the human race into your freaking human cash register. But that would all be at when the frequency gets high enough to the human race to be able to hold that pattern, which would take a certain amount of consciousness. You see what I'm saying? It started with this SoftBank stuff, because whenever I went and pulled up SoftBank, and that was the day before. Well, first we had this. This came in the day before. It was all lining up. This storm came in. This came in, and I haven't edited these at all. And this, and look at the pyramid. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And I'm on Lake Louisville Lake. I'm in Little Elm, like literally Freddie, at the crossroads. I mean, this is at the crossroads, and the telecom corridor for like the world between Arlington and Dallas, which is basically between Dallas and Fort Worth. That's the telecom corridor. That's right there. That's right there. Boom. Look at that. This was Monday. Oh, this is a video. Look at that. Look at that. There's a dragon. That is definitely a dragon. Look at that. It's like, oh, it's even like glitching right there. Look, they're like, "Rah." Well, when I flew out to Vegas, because DFW Airport's right here, and they had these satellite poles that I knew shouldn't be there. And we called that stuff in the year before. Look, and see, this looks like a djinn. He looks like he has a little ponytail on his head. What's crazy is, see, because so much light comes in. When that light comes in, man, it's this that you got to deal with. That, y'all, this is also why you like realize everything happens to you in stages, because you can't, when you have to turn on your light all at once, trust me, it's not the way you want to experience this. Listen to the wisdom. Relax. Realize that whatever's going on right now, it's just mirroring up against you. What is it trying to teach you? I mean, literally, you're in a cocoon right now. You're making wings. What's on the outside of your cocoon? Because you're in a cocoon. So, I mean, what is it on the outside of your cocoon that's freaking driving you batshit right now? Well, realize you're in the cocoon. Because whenever you go full light, that's when the dark shows up. You got to learn how to tame your energy so that you can bring in more light, because it don't matter every time you bring in the light. I mean, it comes to a point that this is why you're shadow workers. Like, look at that. That created that. And this was just us pulling up the energy. But then these people in these houses over here don't necessarily need a tornado if it's not necessary. You do it a little at a time. There's a portal. So this was Monday. Look at that. Oh, yeah. I don't know how to... Exasia. It looks cool. I'm not sure how you want... Exasia. Yeah. And see, this in my world, I had to learn this before I could even start being taught how to embody my energy. Because just me activating was causing storms and stuff like this. Connected, now that we're all connected in, and when we do a clearing, it has to flush. That's what our moons allow us to do. And that's also what the cosmos is kind of like, where everything's expanding. But you got to do it a little at a time. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I mean, see, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. It's like, hi. Hi. I'm up here. Do you see me? Do you see me? And then that on the back of a giant sea turtle or something. But look at that grid even. Isn't that nuts? Look at that. Because it's sucking it out of the ground, because that energy's flushing up. Because this is pulling it up. Because look, it's clear right there. But realize that that too is laying that pattern up there. As above, so below. So this is also what's coming down. That's what I'm talking about. It's like this in between. And then your weekly process, like if you make a change on Monday or if you made a change last week, it's going to take a week for, I mean, even if it's just you changed a minute of your timeline, it's going to take a week for that minute to connect because of the way this thing is expanding right now, everybody. To the point where was I? Yeah. So then because this was the storm. And look, this was nuts because look, I'm right here, basically. So it pulled the energy from down here in Weatherford, and it didn't really, it popped off a little bit over here, but look, it pulled it way down here and then popped off right underneath like a base and then went, now what? All the way up. Look at that. That was Monday. And all stars like right there. This is where I am. I'm right there. This was stuff that was coming up. This was the chart. I did that video. Then these maps is what, and y'all have sent me some drawings that were similar to this in different ways with like layouts. This is Florida Keys right here. This is Stonehenge. And then this is that H gate, and basically this is what I was. This is what happens next. Oh, see, there's one of them. I think this is Patty. I think Patty drew this after one of the Tanja Norma Jean sessions with Adventures for Connections. So if you haven't checked that out, Adventures for Connections. And this is when I came on and did this video because it was all setting up, right? Then that was the vault, so I'm going backwards. So yesterday, it started out, well, it was the SoftBank stuff. Because this shit is nuts. And I'm not even going to get into it. I can do a whole nother video if you all want me to. But this, the AI zip, oh my gosh. Okay, well, this whole document, I mean, it's even CG right here. I mean, anyway. And it has to do with Red Hat, Unix, and SAS programming, and fish counting. Like, anyway. And it's an MOU, which is what they had me and Carlos working on whenever they wrangled us in 2020, that was working through George Braun. And in the future, that's why we were here in 2018. The timeline that we changed was that the Unix boxes in SAS didn't blow because they were trying to run everybody's human DNA, and the humans blew the system, and the whole world blew up because the people didn't even know how to create without the AI. But the MOU is, there's only been one MOU that was ever successful and in the history of running MOUs, but there's entire freaking European and Saudi establishments that funnel money through it And it has to do with getting $1 billion because you borrow $1 billion, but then they only give you 700,000, and then that other 300,000, 700 million. We'll see, and that's the 700,000 even that they were fucking with me with, trying to get to me in the United States to even connect it. Like, even the people that were running ASP and all that lost control of the system because we all activated out of the system, because if their plan would have worked, they would have blown up the world and the human race. Literally. Because I went through the processing in the physical. So it's like, all, and look, what? Red Hat is Unix. It's open source Unix. And Unix and all, and then look at, look at this techno-Babylonian shit. And even that energy that I was dealing with today was a BBB name. Well, and see, and this is even coming up. He millions. Come on now. And it's all, oh, Jesus. And then look at all the SBs. I don't know what SB stands for, but everybody's got a different SB. And the SB is different things in all these different companies all over the world, but not the United States. Then that's when I did that video. And so this was when I pulled it. This was yesterday at 11:52 a.m. and Mars was at 5:38, where I was in the chart in Frisco, because that's what this pulls up. The MC was in the 10th house, and the true node of the collective. No, this is on the girls' chart that I'm about to do. The girls' chart that I'm about to do. This is what I need. It's like, see how Mars retrograde lined up in the moon. And whenever I saw this, I had to get dressed and get in the car. To connect it, when I pulled out, this weird thing was connected to my Bluetooth, because we were having, I was sending messages in Telegram to some of the girls, and if it went through my Bluetooth speaker, it came out like, it was nuts. And so we saw that because it was coming off my field, and this was trying to attach back into my device when I left the house. This is on top of the house across the street from me. I don't know what it is, but ever since they put it up, it's done something to my energy field. They had cook pots and mops stationed around me over the past couple of weeks. They were setting this up, and I got called out of my house, and I found them, and I put them in my trunk, and they were in the trunk of my car for a while, and then I went and dumped them right here at this building, 500 off, because they already had trash. They were going to come pick it up, so I dumped that stuff off, and it dumped it right here on top of the grid, the gas grid. I'm showing you how I do it. So whatever they were planning on doing with that cooking stuff that they had stationed around me, then I put it on top of the grid, and I connected it into this this system at Circle K, and on this street. And they had this set up right there because it's like they always kind of, it's like I can tell whenever I've done it before because they'll be the maximizer to, woo, I worked at Circle K, exactly. Well, we connect. Wow, Michael, exactly. I mean, shit. And that was right there. Okay. And then what am I taking? Oh, and then I had to get into, because this is in Frisco. You have the tollway and then Legacy. And that's where they hit me with the car, was Legacy and Tennyson. And when they did, all that energy spun out, and now it's like, man, Frisco's nuts. There's Legacy West, and then there's the old Legacy shops, and it goes across the tollway. And then everything on this side of the toll, over here on this side, this is the shopping center, and it's all built on the Egyptian stuff and has all these obelisks and everything. But also, all of us ancients, wherever we were gridded down, this is what they would do. They would come build all of this commerce and all of this on top of us because that's why they want you gridded down there, because your energy holds it. And it's collective, you know. But when you're gridded down there and they're siphoning your energy, that's what they're doing. That's why every time one of us light beings moves somewhere, we're out in the country and then we look around 2 years later and it's like the whole world is crowded around us. That's why. You're literally holding up the infrastructure. So anyway, this is where I had already laid a timeline. I'd already been over here looking for glasses. Now, the reason that I was even called over here is because my electric sunglasses, the arm fell off. The screw just fell out on top of my dresser, which was another sign. Because when I was at the Madonna Hotel, I did take the arm off my sunglasses and I hammered it into the fucking wall, the wood, between the gypsy room that they made us go to when we got out to see Gypsy and the Madonna suite. Because the gypsy room was in a rock, literally, it was a rock. And then the ceiling looked just like that, painted with all the Cohue colors. Me and Natalie couldn't fucking believe it when we walked in there. It was nuts how that whole thing at the Madonna Hotel in Pismo is set up. Now, I'm saying all that because that's what this is like the financial, this is a machine in Texas, okay? Built on top of the land. And so, all of a sudden that arm fell off. And I was like, okay. So I went to go get some sunglasses. Well, there was a whole thing about, in the beginning, leading me to certain stores. And I knew that there were certain contracts that we should have had as a creative team. Like, for instance, DSW and J-Lo. J-Lo should have never had that contract with DSW when that came out in 2019, 2020. I don't know who it was supposed to be, but it wasn't supposed to be hers. It should have been someone on our team. Like, I was clearly, as they were launching, and that's why they didn't launch. That's why they all ended up flopping. But there was a series of them that I was watching them launch in our energy. So these are Jessica Simpson glasses, is what I ended up buying. Well, Jessica and then Jessica Simpson, and have you seen her lately? She's one of the ones that I started talking about earlier. That they all end up looking the same. They turn into like a Stepford. Because their energy even is contracted on, because whenever you go through ASP processing, normally only the stars would go through ASP processing, but the problem is they put a cosmic princess in the processing system, so everyone's along for the ride, which is what the plan was anyway, and this is how everyone's getting an upgrade. But in order for that to happen, this is what we're like the grids we're having to break. So this is, I bought those glasses and then I went outside and the sky started changing. I was like, oh shit. Okay. So then I started getting super conscious. Okay. I'm tuning my energy into this obelisk. And mind you, my company that got stolen right over there is that's where it was. GIA Technology was right over on the other side, right over on this grid. Look at that. This was yesterday. Look at that. This was 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Brixmore. I don't know what Brixmore is. I was in Frisco, according to what. And then look, and then the car next to me, Cheryl, Lolo, Cheryl, and then Star X. That was like right next to me. It was, and then, so then I'm like, okay, because I'm about to start building the brand down, and I need to get my confidence back, and I've got pretty much everything to wear. I don't need clothes or anything. I just haven't bought really nice shoes in a long time because I haven't had any money. Thanks to you guys getting some readings where I have a little bit of money to spend, although we're spending most of it to get the cards out that we're getting quotes on right now at the printer. So I just want a badass pair of boots. Well, I couldn't find any. I'm like, Jesus Lord, like nobody's got any cool shit that you can even find. Like, okay, I'm willing to go pay $300 for a badass pair of boots. Okay, show me a pair of badass boots I want. So I could only think about Nordstrom. So that's how I ended up, and I'm kind of describing this because this is how your inner, if you all of a sudden go to the mall and then and you see a lot of weird shit and then you go home the next day and you're tired, this is what you were doing. You went in there to connect into this energy grid system for some reason. Okay, in the grid system inside of it, because our intention is to, if it's going to be there and it's going to be run, then allow our energy, then get us in the game. All of us got we our vibration and whatever to get in and be a creator and build it. All the corporations and all that were locked down more than anything. That's how I became spiritual, trying to build a company that was real. Well, what's so crazy is that it's right on the Hyatt now. It ends up, I'll come back to that. It's on the Hyatt. Okay, Hyatt's right there. So, and this is Stonebriar Mall. And by the way, the whole thing with my son, whenever I freaked out in Anaheim, there was one, I never told my son he couldn't go anywhere or do anything, but I was separated from him. Everything was going down in Anaheim. They didn't understand what was happening to me. And he wanted to go to the mall one day and I lost it. And I was like, no. And I refused. I freaked out. Like, don't go. Well, one of the reasons too was because when he was in California, right after he left California from seeing me, the 2 locations that we had just been at, I mean, pinpoint been at, on the pier and at the front of that park, is where shootings took place. And not only I saw it, but he saw it and sent me pictures first, which proves there is, because he saw it too. So is what I'm also saying. We haven't been, we're still, that's all still kind of being figured out. Well, I happened to pull up and where I parked, this freaking monstrosity is there. But so I go in, look, Anthropology, has this. So, and mind you, our intention is to grow the brand. So then I get into the mall, and this is on the inside of the mall, and I know physics. And so now I walked into the mall for the first time in a while. I'm in there for a totally different intention energetically, and I kind of see the physics of how they're harvesting from the mall. So this is me basically just hooking in energetically and showing the physics of how then, I mean, because I'm in there connecting to that energy. Because when I was on the way to the mall, I said, okay, because realize, I mean, I've done the time and all this is built on top of me. There was a reason so that we could affect the market and assist and not have everything fall apart. It's me not being able to even play in my playground that was already built on top of me and our energies. That's right. That's the issue. So I was calling in either put me back in my machine or send a shockwave through Dallas and through the cement and through the infrastructure of everything that's holding in a frequency that no longer that needs to disconnect so that we can jump and freaking pull everything to the other side because it's already connected right there. We just got to keep we just got to keep raising it. So one or the other. And I'm still not exactly sure what we did, but so then that's when I noticed Zara went in right there, and I was like, oh, the chick where I drank that gave me the AI. Cha-ching! We met at the Galleria. Now this is Stonebriar, but I mean, look. when you start understanding physics and how all of this works, right? Because whenever your energy goes in here too, it's realize that the divine feminine energy is what was holding these constructs when we were in the little geogrids. It's how it all manifested. But she bought me like whenever I first came in and I was pure and everything else before I drank the AI at the Galleria. That's where we had to go. She bought me something there. So all of a sudden I needed to go in there, and that's what I do, because I go and I alchemize it. So there was this whole weird thing with the PayPal thing because I did something to the system. I know I did. And they're also, it's an M bag. Like every time they buy a bag, they call it an M bag, which I thought was strange. The machine froze up, took money out of my account, then it canceled the transaction. But I had to force it to take the PayPal, and it did. But I mean, I had to run it, and then I had to rerun it, and I used another PayPal account. So I mean, there was something with all that. And now I'm leaving, and this is what it looks like. It looks like a... Yeah. 3 layers. Going the wrong way. See, I took a picture of the Hyatt again. I was just showing some of this infrastructure that's, I mean, this is just one little area of it. And this has all been built in like the past year. Because realize Saudi came in and set up their infrastructure on top of the Texas structure. This isn't even like they've already like all the electric grids and stuff that were down here that were like in this pattern. They set up higher ones that go in like this pattern, for instance. Oh man, dude. And this is everything built this way. This direction are the two parks that I've been telling y'all about. And this is where, I mean, right over here is where we got blown out. But and I had to go this different way. I had to go down Doe Lake. Oh, and then I had to drive down this one field street. Cause like, I don't like, that's why I was talking about that Saudi and shit. Cause this is where PGA Tour just went in. This is where the new Omni Hotel just went in. That's going in. That's all next to the PGA. This is where they're building the new Universal Studio, not water theme park or some crap. This is where Cook Children moved in. Like everything's over here. But I mean, that's what they were trying. Everything's over here. It's basically like this became Anaheim in a weird way. It's like I'm watching it become Anaheim. And I've been saying it for a while. Like the people in California started acting like Texas. The people in Texas started acting like Californians. I don't know when it happened. I started noticing it around 2020. But I had to go this different way and cut down that field street. That was all built because I hadn't been that direction in a while, but it's all the land that we claimed. And by the way, it's all Rex Real Estate, and that's my son's name. And I mean most of the land between where I am, 30 minutes south of the Red River, into Oklahoma, because it's really all Chickasaw land, and it's really the land that they know that we own and operate, and it's really what they were hoping and praying that we weren't going to be able to fucking activate and claim. And so since they didn't do right by us, we're just fucking using the energy grid and embodying it. Basically, I'm trying. We're going to see if it works. This is what What's up, Natalie? And then I ended up, and if y'all see, because I've been driving around and working quantum energy, and whenever I start talking about this type stuff, and if like I end up behind a truck like this, and you understand how this works, you're like, oh shit. It's kind of like that Ant-Man and Wasp girl. Whenever you watch that movie, and they're in the truck and they're throwing like a little bitty car out the window, and then it's blowing up and hitting somebody. Well, that's basically using these abilities is how I was even able to pull this off and like get around and unhook everything from the cosmos. Because like I was reading what was happening in the cosmos, because it really does mirror down here. It's how things actually move around more than you realize. And whenever you start controlling, anyway, I end up behind this truck. And it like took forever because this was 380, but I couldn't go. This is this main intersection right here with 423. I had to cut this direction, and I ended up behind this truck because I stopped and took the pictures too. If I wouldn't have stopped and took those pictures, I would have been in front of that truck. Oh, and my freaking reads were nuts. I had a series of them. I was posting them. And remember I told you about, look at that. There it is. And this is where they're building the Costco. And this is it clearing still. And this is on the, so Kirsten, this is on that side of the street. This is on that side of the street. Literally, it's like when you're driving, Birch is over here, Holt is over here. It's fucking nuts. I'm telling y'all, I'm in some like weird like Cloneville. Even like I'll go to stores and every once in a while there'll be a teller or something that I'll start bullshitting with because I really haven't been mingling with people very much. But if it comes up, I always know, you know, it's safe to say whatever because it doesn't. But I mean, I'll even say to him, yeah, you know, we live in Cloneville, and they're like, no shit. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like the beta test of it all. And it's connected into Denton and Bend, and then the connection to Arkansas with Benton, Benton, and then how all of that connects in with the root system coming from Austin, San Antonio, and all that stuff. But Dallas is like telecom corridor. Really, they call it the mid-cities. Bedford, Euless. Because like Dallas-Fort Worth is made up of like 300 different cities. Names, but like you look at the whole thing and you call it Dallas-Fort Worth. But every single one of those cities has its own police station, has its own courthouse. Like it's crazy. Anyway, I think that's it for the pictures. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Emma. Oh yeah. And then it was 444 because I had called Shockwave 444. Oh, and then I went Sonic and had to sit for a minute. And then I did a TikTok. I posted that one. It's got music, so I can't play it. And then Kirsten had just sent me this, and I was like, oh, okay, I know why that happened. But my question is, how come every time I'm dealing with the far side of the sun, the Hyatt is involved? That's my question. So after that happened, I mean, look at that. Look at that. There's the fishies. Well, Birch is my married name. It's my son's name. It's my legal name still right now. Or at least with all the manipulation that was done on my company and my name and my identity. I mean, it's nuts. It really is. Look at that. I mean, hello. Look at that. What is that? I'm not going to say what it looks like, especially like right here. It's like, rah, rah. I mean, even like a wobbly sword. This is like, what is that? It's like somebody's back here. And there's like a template. Like, this is an angel template, like right here. But then it looks like somebody's sitting in a chair back here. It's like his legs crossed. And you see him? And he's looking that direction. You see him? He's sipping coffee. I'm not trying to see anything. I'm telling you what I see. There's his foot. These energies come into these grids, and this is energy clearing because I consciously cleared it and went and connected my energy body, which I've mastered in order to do it. Look at that. Ding, ding, ding. And I'm just showing you pictures of me trying to get home after I did it and what was happening. Then we connected into the Beale Pyramid in Memphis. This was yesterday. Because this used to be called the Beale Pyramid. It was supposed to at least go to the Smithsonian. Realized that the Memphis to Tennessee pyramid system was mirroring the Egyptian Giza pyramid systems. And then most of the stuff that I had to deal with in 2000, that's why all this had to be done at Memphis. I jumped a timeline right there. It's because, and I mean, I even saw a projection because it's sets up, the Mississippi sets up a different projection, like literally. So we were connecting back into the Memphis pyramid. Here's all that information because it shouldn't be being used for retail. That's like Jesus getting mad and kicking all the tables out of the temples where they were selling things. Because then you basically set up a system where you're going to have to buy and sell yourself because you don't understand the intention of why the temple was made, obviously. Or else you wouldn't bring that trade right there, because then that means that in the process you're going to have to buy and sell yourself. Or someone in the line's going to, because you did it. In the moment when we're doing a full transitional, collective, processional connections, you know, which over history have not been a ton of them, but there's enough of them that there's a group of us that you'd call into, like the Yahshua and even the Buddha lines, because one couldn't have existed without the other. In the wheel. So anyway, these are the connections into Egypt. This is where that pyramid is, in Memphis, Tennessee. The foot homes. This is Cotton Row. See, and there's Beale Street, and this is in the Elvis story, and this is where all the musicians and da 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 da. Beale Street, Motown, it was called, and it was originally known for all the original blues singers. Although it's gone, it went to shit, and all they were, I mean, it had lost its Motown feel whenever I was there, but. this pyramid, I was coming out, having clearing an energy grid, and I'm driving right here, and the pyramid's right here, and I saw a Bentley, a red Bentley with a giant B, and the birch was a big deal. It's why it's a trip that it even came up, because there was a giant B on this side, which is what caught my attention. And then I was like, wait a minute, why is it out in the middle of the field? That looks out of place. And so I kept driving, and then I got down here, and I turned around, and I came back, and it's gone. And that's when I realized there's some type of projection. And it was this Ledbetter thing, and Ledbetter is a name on my, and here's the other thing that's nuts, because that new stable coin, the one that has RLDS in it, well, that's the adopted family, and where I had cleared the tribe of Dan and all that through was from the remnant Mormon. I was in that collective. That's who those people raised me in Bryan, Texas. The Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then all the elders were all around me in that. And Esther Ledbetter went to that church. And I'm noticing a lot, and those people didn't have nothing in the timeline that we were in. Neither did the Fannie Mae line that my mother came from, because my adopted mother's grandmother maiden name was Fannie Mae. But none of these people had anything. But through me coming through the Ascension and figuring out what the hell was all connected as I was clearing the bloodlines, and why I was where I was, and figuring out all of that, and like why I was there to transmute it, is why I was there in it, to complete it in every situation. Now, I'm just saying all that so that you understand what's been going on with you too, because that's what, if we were in any of those. But I'm finding a lot of those names, and I have been, but even in the new stuff, now it's starting to come up even more. There's some type of, and there's Bill Street, but there's Andy Bill. And when I got hit by the car on the tollway, I was going to this man's company, Bill Bank. They were my client. And this guy, like, is next door to Ross Perot. This guy also is linked to Kingman, Arizona. And, I mean, they even know of him and his name sake. Whether or not it's the same one or not, I don't know. But they knew the people in that town when I went to clear it, because I got led back there because he was a serial killer. Like, literally. This is, and Kingman, Arizona, and the snowfalls out of nowhere that have happened in Kingman, Arizona in the past 3 years was because of us clearing all of that. Because there's this one, and they even have statues and stuff set up around it. They're gritting it down, like they've been working that energy. Like, that's the reason that they did it. Anyway, he also has he's had this running math equation, like give people $1 million to run a math equation or prove a math equation wrong. Like, if you prove it or whatever, he'll give you $1 million. And if you look at the equation, what they keep doing is he's having them break time. When you start understanding how all of this works, it's like it's anyway. He's also the bank that Trump used, because they're not a normal bank. They're involved with a list of really interesting things. power generation and infrastructure bonds during the post-Enron California rolling blackout and energy deregulation crisis in 2001, debt instruments backed by aircraft after the 9/11 terrorist attacks on the USA, commercial and real estate loans during the global credit crisis of 2008. And I didn't realize until yesterday that they had Vegas too. I didn't know he had Vegas. I knew about the one here because I got hit by the car. It's where they spun the sun. I was going to his office. And then as soon as I drank the AI and all that shit started happening, began in 2019, and I left Rock Wall, I went directly to Bill Bank. And I had to like drive around it. I had to uncoil from it. Oh, and look at this. What? Building rockets? Well, don't even get me started on that. So whatever was going on with all that. I just want to show y'all, this is April. Okay. So this is April 2025. And then this is going to start lining up before that. But this, when I was because whenever I got home, after I did that, I immediately had to go to my book and chart the full moons and the new moons until July, just to see where the astronomy is lining up to tell me more of the story, which I have to do. I have to like plan it ahead. And it really started catching my attention right here. Look what's all gonna be right there. The true node of the collective is going to move into Pisces on January 12th. I think we should probably start talking about what that possibly might look like. The true node of the collective moving into Pisces. Because this is where the battle was fought for all of us that, you know, because 2017, okay, in 2017, if you pulled up this chart, is like a party in Capricorn. All the planets were stacked in Capricorn, like all of them. That's why if you were a Libra or an Aries, it's like you got cracked open. More so because all that energy was coming in on top of Capricorn, and it was like forcing the sides open. Well, now we're getting to all that's going to be in Pisces, but then Neptune's going to be in Aries, and then Venus is going into Aries, and we changed 0 to 3 degrees, and we changed the whole story and actually finished it. It's like the past and the future have a connection now. Those in-betweens are written. Venus has that in the code. Venus puts out that energy. So Venus is going to be like blasting the real, what went down this past 7 years that we all witnessed and lived through. That is going to be what is showing up in the collective in various ways to show, because all it is having to run that energy sequence, because this is the first time that it had been built in at the beginning of degrees of Aries to make the Pisces connection. And the whole thing with Chiron, the collective Chiron in 2018, 2019, going back and forth between Pisces and Aries, is what ended up giving us the knowledge on how to even connect and correct it through DNA and healing to affect the masses, to make sure that the human body was hooked into the generator and not a reptilian form or a clone form or an AI form. Which is what every single one of our missions was about in one way or another, getting down here and getting a body type and enough of us connected into it that we can hold it, because the human body couldn't hold it. It's just now able to, and keep a personality. So Venus is going to be projecting that. Venus is going to be projecting those codes, and Neptune. So Venus and Neptune are working together. It's going to go directly into the subconscious. Holy crappy noly. And Saturn. And Saturn's basically blasting out the different kids from, if any, right here from Pisces to Aries, that's master in the wheel. So, and this is also why I was talking about the lives and that guy throwing magic on the lives. Like, this is like, you need to start at least reading into that, just so that you so that you know that that's what's changing the frequency. The more that you realize what it is that's changed, but because this is the energy we're moving into. This is April, but I mean, this is people. The war was fought right there. That's Dolly Parton. And then whenever we did our whatever we did, and one of the girls did make a move in XRP, and and then we did this, whatever this did that we did, unhooking from this Texas grid and cleaning whatever we did, then they're calling it a glitch in XRP, and it jumped. So we're starting to get the hang of how our Stepford wife bodies work. And literally, it kind of is the easiest way to think about it. Is like, all right, I was made with a bunch of bells and whistles that in the matrix go off. And that's how I was making them energy and making them a current and da 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 da. So how okay, fine. How can I utilize that and create from it? Because that's what we're all trying to figure out. But especially when it comes to digital currency, especially because it is like Monsters Inc. It really is. They were seeing that to move bit, they were hurting us. They wanted to break our hearts. They took our twin. To get from 8 to 13 and bit, they broke my heart. They cut me from our twins. It shot it from 8 to 13. They were trying to get it to iota in 2020. Well, so what I'm saying is, energetically, as a group too, we're figuring out how collectively, and not just the main current of what is being told to everybody in the masculine perspective too. Not to say that they're wrong by any way. More like we have, or I especially have, a power of intuition in this because of an energetic sequence that I just see in different systems through processing. So what we're kind of seeing is that it's coming up when it needs to come up, but us, the collective, do have a barometer on it in a way. And so what also I'm having to do personally, and not everybody might need to do this, it might be the opposite, because I had to completely shut myself off from digital currency for a while, just because they took over every single system that I had and closed every account that I had connected to any of it, because all of us were doing the first connections, literally. Because whatever was formed in evil will not prosper, but if it's built and our energies are woven into it, and we know that that's what it's producing, we're used to having our energy process stuff, especially those of us that are this true infrastructure. We ain't got no problem keeping the energy churning the way it is, but we got to have something coming in, and we got to be able to build with it, because otherwise we can't keep it churning. And there ain't no other layer to go clear. We've already blown out every layer. It's more like everybody's needing to. So even this glitch, I don't know. We're gonna see. So this next the true node, and this is January. So I'm just kind of giving y'all a look into what's setting up in January to give you an idea of what's shifting between now and January. Because the end of the year and the beginning of the year, or especially this crossover, is like extra special. It's more. Some butterflies are getting their wings. Dragons have now become princesses. Butterflies have become dragons. Some are in cocoons getting their wings from all the getting from all the other ones. So theirs are even coming out even more cool and different, because every birthing cycle. But I mean, from an energetic body perspective, with all of us that have been on the journey, it's an example of the different layers, because this is a learning experience. And you're learning your special way to transmute it. And for a minute, you repel people just because your energy frequency is higher. Well, that's an RH negative. That's what RH negatives did the whole time in the old cycle. So just realize that that's because it's mirroring you. There's nothing holding it off. Okay? We all go through periods of that, especially coming out of it. January 12th, the true node is going to go into Pisces, the true node of the collective. So everything's going to be more, you're going to see it more in pieces, because Pisces really is like pieces. It's like, you can think of it as big, huge plasma currents. Like if you looked at the ocean like a giant mirror on the wall, and the reflection of that coming in, and then you get to a point where you either had to go up or down. And then because you couldn't go straight ahead. But it's also more illusions, but it's you getting a mirror of you from a bigger perspective too. And then you coming in from that perspective. Then you're like, okay, I come from this big energy. I understand how this energy got here in Aries. So then I can understand how we all work together, because You know, a Pisces perspective is knowing that you're coming in a group. It's knowing that you're, I mean, you know, everyone that incarnates in the 10-year period that you were born in a timeline matrix is all connected in a band. It's not the time, it's all the humans that were born in that time. Each one has different programming and various sequences because they were changing it up depending on what they were trying to get in front of us to get us to want and depending on what they wanted us to do. So it's like they were changing it like every 10 years. But all this is going on is Mars is retrograde. And Mars is now going backwards, and it's going to go all the way into Cancer. It's going to go almost to Sirius B, which is the mind, right? Whenever this comes around, Mars retrograde is going to be like at the very beginning degrees of Leo, which is whenever, because this is literally the human mind of the collective is being deprogrammed. And the reason that it's being deprogrammed is because the programs blew. This is Meek Inherit the Earth. This is what everybody's been waiting for. So it's no longer, you know, you don't have to worry about, in this energy, you don't have to worry about, am I going to get the message? Am I connected? If you're watching my channel, I can promise you, or if you see this, I can promise you you're connected. You're getting the messages when you need them. The rest is learning how to live in the physics and energetics of the changes that are happening and making sure that your body is able to rest, that you're taking care of yourself. You want to get out of your head until you're pulled into your head. And then whenever you're pulled into your head, just notice you got pulled into your head. Just that's what being conscious is. But in the very beginning, and now and when this happened in 2017 and I activated and it took me about 3 years, you know, then I didn't have to pay attention to any of this stuff. I didn't have to. That's why we forget to tell you guys some of the things that we were doing back in 2018, because the truth is we did them, and we did them as a collective, and then we became it so quickly that then it was just like we all just stopped doing the commands, and now it's like it's like we're going back and going, oh, wait a minute, okay, every day we were doing this. Well, one of them is every time you leave your house, call in the highest timeline. Left ear just blew. How long have I been on here? My videos are getting so long, but I come on in the energy when I'm feeling it. Because if I owe you a chart, it'll be done by the end of the week. We're like having to let this energy clear before I imprint that one completely. Why'd I flip over here? What was I saying? I looked at myself and I was like, oh, Lord, I look awful. And then I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I love you guys too. I'm trying to help. Yes, is this live? Yes. What was I saying? Thank you, John. What was I saying? It was important. Oh, call in your highest timeline. It's real easy. Make yourself a note. Put it in your car. Just make yourself a little sticky note. Call in the highest timeline. Put it on your rearview mirror. Call in the highest timeline. Put it at your back door. Every time you leave your house, call in the highest timeline. Call in the highest timeline. No traffic. Or if there is traffic, if you get stuck in traffic, one of the tests in one of these lines, and one of the tests of power, and if you can control your power, is you're tested to see if you can move the traffic. FYI. FYI. So if you all of a sudden get stuck in a traffic jam and nobody's moving, and you're like, and you feel the pressure because you're in the grid, you might be being tested. All you have to do is turn on your radio real loud, find a song that you want to dance to, start dancing. Everybody in the car, get your energy up, and everybody in the car roll their fingers and think about those tires rolling. Tires rolling. Tires rolling. And then push the field and learn how to work the wave. Because you'll be shown, because like if you work the wave and then the cars stop, it's like you have to learn how to drive it. You've got to drive the wave. It's like if you see everything slowing down and you're like roll, 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 and then you like see it stopping, you'll want to slow your energy down. Learn how to press the wave and learn how to move it out of your way. And you can, as long as there's not like a car, if it's a traffic jam that's caused by the grid systems and the matrix systems on purpose in order to lock down the energy around those commerce, which is most of the traffic. I mean, if there's a legitimate wreck and it's blocked, you can't do this. But this is how you do it. But don't try to take over the driver or do anything crazy like that. That's going to get you in trouble. Just move the tires if they can move. You don't have to do the music. In LA, I would put my hands down. Sometimes I didn't have to dance, but I'd just start rolling my fingers. And then the lane would open up and I'd start sailing through. And then I'd look back in my rearview mirror and like there's nobody back there for like a long distance. Like they're going, what the fuck? That chick just moved the traffic. And I'm like, I don't wait in traffic. Not if it's because you're trying to harvest my energy. And a lot of the times, the reason that it's tested to see if you can get out of it is because of whatever's built. Notice if this happened, where you were when it happened, what commerce was where you were. Thank you, Natalie. Notice what commerce was where you were. Like, I was talking to Norma Jean and Tanja about this last night. I need to share this with my feminine collective. There's trauma stories built into kind of like the gas line layouts, especially like in the mountains in Sedona and where we saw this clearly was quartzite. And what I mean by that is where there was a trauma event that happened before. And so, I mean, and we're talking over long periods of time on the earth with certain cosmic connections and eclipses as they were coming in. And all those energies in a brand new count, you know, meeting under that same energetic and ending up where you were before, which is basically what we just walked for the past 7 years. But it's specifically at the end of 2020 when this Ophiuchus eclipse came in, and it would be the crystal skull alignment, and we did, and the demon even came in with it, like. But we aligned that, and that's what we were back in the desert to do. And in that, and so we found out about the gathering and knew we had to go, but we didn't even get directions. We followed our intuition to get there, and we found it. But there was one street that you come in, and it's out in the middle of effing nowhere in Quartzsite, where the Four Corners is. And so there's this one road, and let me give you an example, because this could be in what I'm saying right now could exist in your grid system around your house, and even explain why there's certain areas where there's missing children and stuff. Because if there's been a traumatic event that's been repeated over and over and over and over with death and trauma in an area, whether it be one person or a mass, whatever, it's gonna replay out in. It's gonna replay out. It's in the grid system. The more conscious that you are, then it's not gonna hit you. But unfortunately, where we're at with how this works, it's gonna hit somewhere until enough of us get together and clear these different things. But as long as it can be used to assist and balance it out, it'll be continued right now because of where we're at in the process. There were like 12 gas lines that came up out of the ground, and I remember because I had a lighter and I had to light it 12 times because I knew and like where they have those gas lines and stuff, if you like turn the earth this way and you look at it from another perspective, it turns into a whole different scenery. And the road looped around, and so we were called to go that direction. Well, at the end of that street was where the guy was with the weird table and the life force freaking circle, and he was like, "You're not supposed to be here." And then when we cleared, and then he started packing up because he freaked out. And then when we were leaving, and then we saw the little stoned mushroomed girl all mushroomed out of her head, and she's driving with their little fishing thing, and we knew that's what he was setting up the table for. And we knew that we had changed enough timelines because of the girl I was traveling with and what we had been doing at that point to know that, okay, that chick was fixing to get carved up. Then we made it to the camp. We met the people at the camp. It was a trip. We had a hotel. We saw the girl. She came screaming at us because she was like, "I was having dreams that I was going to get killed. No. And some of the other girls were having the same thing, but we even knew like what was going on in the desert was a trip, and that eclipse was lining up. And then when we went back the next day, even knowing all of that, and even being conscious when we were driving down that street, knowing everything that was set up at the end of that street, when we started coming straight, we almost turned right again. It's how strong the pull is energetically to it. And I'm not saying just to scare nobody or nothing. I mean, if you go that direction, like this is why when you're in the full energy, and you happen to be the one that can energetically stop it, then you'll be led to get there and do it, and you'll know that you did. But even in the journey, there's different. You don't have to. When you're out in the matrix, you don't have to interface with people on your energetic layer if they're not energetic. I want to, because what the goal is to make this transition and learn how to do it and stay in your authentic self, but learn how to transmute it so that you don't have to lose everyone around you. Some of them needed to go, and some of them have to go. But how to just start living in a higher current But realize that even like whenever you walk into some place and you feel like some type of energy on a group of people, right? Realize you're only when you go to the grocery store or you go out into your grid wherever you are, like all the people, you just can basically think of it as like you're a giant. They're all like this big. When you walk in, if there's a lot of people, if there's not a lot of people in there, then you probably don't even notice it, right? Like you don't feel any type of compression, or you don't feel any type of chaos, or it doesn't like make you want to turn around and run. It's because there's just a whole bunch of people in that energy. Well, when you're in the pure energy consciousness and your intention is just to go to the store or whatever, and so you lift up the energy whenever you come in, when you walk in, you can interact with these people at a little matrix level. Now, it's when you see and catch eye contact with the ones that you're like, you kind of give each other a head. You just kind of, I know you're here. Not good or bad. Just, I see you. I see that there's another one in the building that's bigger than this. Now, that doesn't mean that what you're seeing is good or bad. It's just their spiritual form is in the room with you, embodied at a specific layer higher than everybody else. Now that's in every situation. Even if you go in with a whole bunch of people that you would think ascended and at some point in the night, there's a balancing that's going through that party, and then by the end of the night, and you can't do it in the beginning, it's going to take till the end with everybody in the group and where you're guided to go to mingle and by the end of the party at the 4 or 5 hours, there will be the 1, 2, 3, or 4 that are actually like the leadership kind of the whole group energetically will end up having a conversation. Because that's how it works. Right? All that energy in one room together is what creates then that energetic to then kind of sort that out energetically. Hi, Harry. I'm all right. I'm doing all right. How are you? So that's when we start talking about too, like whenever people in the industry are like, are you in the game, and you hear all that kind of stuff being thrown, that's kind of what they're talking about, because there's a whole bunch of collectives that have been trained to go out in the stores and find ones of us whose heads are raised over everybody else. And then there's a whole fucking network of quantum mobster shit that has existed on top of that, okay? Literally. To maneuver all of it, even when they find the ones that are hovering over everybody else. So if you're really not going to be called to go to see any type of shadowy crap, like we don't exist in the shadow, we exist in the light. The only reason that we know how to deal with the shadow is whenever they throw shadow at us. That's how we learn how to deal with the shadow, because they throw shadow at us. So if you're in the drugstore and everything's cool, and then you're like walking around your little cart and you're like, okay, there's a lot of people in here, but I see you, I kind of see it glowing, and see, all y'all are going to see this in a different way. Some of you might see glowing auras, whatever, it's like you kind of see there's a spiritual woman over there, and there's a lot of people, but you kind of see that and recognize it in another way. But then all of a sudden, you get like this energetic blowback that kind of takes you off course a little bit, because you feel something being thrown at you. Well, it could be somebody in the place. It could. It could just be the entire infrastructure of the Walgreens that you're on, and it just happens to be the connection that's coming through the land right there too. And so you're there and you're feeling that as well. You know, it could be a million different reasons how you're feeling it. My point is though, as soon as that happens, then what it's doing is recalling your Akashic library on your shadow side. And it just happens naturally that you'll go into a backwards motion, undoing something of some sort. And this is what we talk about in alchemy as well, because you know it'll show you how to dodge it. It'll show you how you can catch the bullet, if you will, like the Matrix. It'll show you how to move physics. It'll show you how to, I don't know, what's your specialty. It'll show you how to make a soup for it next time an EMF attack happens to anybody or whatever. I don't know. It's not even an EMF attack sometimes. Sometimes it's just a blowback because of the energy of the light of everybody mingling together. This is also why they send you to your rooms in 2020, because all of us lit up when we get into the same room together, and that's a bunch of us power sources. We really do blow grid systems and start hurricanes and shit. It's also why a lot of us have been confined so much and not able to move around, because we literally weren't, because we would blow up shit. We have to freaking wait a little bit longer because the whole thing's got to come up in frequency so that a couple of us can come in so it won't be as much blowback. But it's like I said, you got to, it's like your shadow side of you gets to where you're consciously planning for the shadow blowback of your light before you throw the light. You're consciously planning. You can think of it like that. Your shadow and our shadows and whatever this twin stuff was, this whole last 7 years too, was a blowback, was the shadow of a blaring light that just finally ran out of energy because we told y'all it wasn't going to last forever. But here we are. Mars is going retrograde. It's going to go back to the beginning degrees of Leo. Everybody's learning how these things are working inside the collectives. We're also seeing and playing with how we can maneuver it. And then, so a lot has happened in the collective. And remember that it's like the past 2 days, you can basically think of it like the ascended collective ran since we were clearing certain energies that were linked into eclipses, because this had to do with eclipse energy. So since we claimed all the eclipses and took over the paperclips, because the paperclip was planned to the eclipse, it's freaking blah, 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 blah. It's all this time travel crap. And so it's like we have this, and because we had this double new moon, and this one's lining up on Lyra 1 and Lyra 2 hinge, and we're basically like writing it and building it however the fuck we want right now. Basically. That part. And what's nuts about it is everybody that's doing sidereal and Vedic astrology, like, we're building you right now, just so you know. We're glad to do it, but just FYI. Because this new moon is going to be at 8 degrees Capricorn on the 30th, and that's Lyra 1 and Lyra 2 hinge, and that is where thought creates through a form. And that's what's going to be lining up. Then the true node on the 12th on Pisces, then the 13th, depending on where you are on the planet, it's going to be the 13th or the 14th, and it's going to be the full moon, and Mars goes, so it's the full moon and Mars goes direct. Mars goes direct on number 11, which is Sirius C, which is the soul. So it's like Mars is going to come out of his bodysuit basically and go back into like the soul and then come back out. That's why I'm like, you're in a cocoon. At least until January 12th. Unless you already have your wings or you're a because if you already have your wings in any form, then you're hovering over the cocoons. You're like watching them and you're knowing, oh my God, we're okay. This is about to happen again. I'm a butterfly. I gotta watch over all the cocoons because I'm about to turn into a dragon. And then I gotta watch over all the new butterflies. And the dragons are going, oh shit. Now I gotta choose a personality and a form. Now I have to become individualized. Now I've got it. Now I can't just, now I can fly around if I want to, but I mean, it takes me a while to get back into my printed form. I need to remember that. I'll just send the signals to the butterflies coming that are, and they can send them to the dragons, and then, because your next step is you're down here with me, man. It was like that. Cha-ching, cha-ching. They need to be real careful. They're going to fall out of roller coasters. And on that full moon, so Mars is going to go direct on number 11, which is Sirius C at the end of Cancer. And the sun will be on number 29, which is another 11, which is Lyra 3, which is basically like the 3, 6, 9, and all these patterns that we're moving finally a lot of cycles into a 10th level. And some of them are so prolonged that it's like they're going to go from 9 to like 15 and never even complete. Other ones and cycle back around to like 6 and start over, and other ones are like been held for so long that they're gonna hit like the 13th and 14th and then trickle down to everybody and make a mass collective change all at once because the cycle was held up. That's the only reason. I learned to solve the problems of life. How y'all doing? Those colors, by the way, on full moon are... Oh, I can't wait to have the cards. This rose pink and yellow, like mustard yellow and mauve. Mauve, dirty pink, mauve. And navy blue and peach. Lyra 3 is like navy blue and peach. I know it looks purple on here, but it's navy blue. Kind of looks purple. So, that full moon and Mars goes direct, and that's the 13th or 14th, depending on where you are, on the circular object we call the planet. And then Uranus goes direct on the 25th of January, a month to the day after Christmas. It's why we're even talking about it, because it's like we're building a lot of the, when I go map it, the energy frequency that we're in right now is what's being projected to the new year in the next coming months. Uranus direct on the 25th of January, and then the new moon is going to be on the 29th of January, And it's going to be, it looks like right now, around 9 degrees of Aquarius. And we're back on that weird, like, little 9 count again in January. So that's what is starting. Actually, Mars direct, 23rd, 24th. Why do I have... Hold on. I'm wrong. I've said it wrong. Moon on Mars retro number 11. Oh, Mars isn't going direct on the 13th. I'm totally hope. I was wrong. I read it wrong. Mars goes direct on February 24th. This full moon on the 13th or 14th is linked to that. The moon is on that setting, that the degree that Mars, it's setting it, that where Mars is going to go direct. So it's going to be linked. So notice what happens around, and we'll talk about it again, but January 13th to February 24th. But we're talking about it because the reason that it's coming up is because how the cycles and the energy work is December's already mirroring to January. Kind of works like a hinge. And there's a lot of energetic balancing that happens at the end of the year to the beginning of the year. So that's where we're at. And I pretty much see the new year as being the equinox. I mean, the 21st to me is the new year. Like, everything between there and that first week of January, which has become a crazy one to deal with because of how it was always hinging the harvesting energy from the year before on a 12-month cycle that they were running 13-month cycles on in other freaking dimensions and other countries and other financial systems and shit. So it's like, whatever. That's what's getting more and more trued up. Okay, so I hope this helps today whenever you found this video. We have some good news about other things. I'll wait just a little bit longer because we're concreting those. And right now, and this is like the last, it's kind of like the last Satan Christmas. That's how we see it. It's how we've been seeing it the past, because the way that they've got the concerts and who's singing and it's like they built all that energy on top of how they're representing it. You know, even why House of Kochi we didn't get to sell this year. You know, we really wanted to have it to you. So, but there was a reason. You know, and I really feel like that's why it's like this even this energy is fizzing out. It's like being suffocated and being the very last fart. It's like being a burp. It's like we're glowing up, and that other energy is suffocating out of you. And especially at the beginning of the years is where you really start realizing how the yearly energy works in a cycle. You know, there's just certain expectations that you learn you just shouldn't have in February, for example. Like, February is not a launch date. There's certain in the physics and all that, it's like you just can't expect for something to happen in February in certain instances. Whenever you start understanding that February has to happen so you can get to March, you know, now there's something maybe to even risk it for, even like that. when you start understanding how you're building your energy of your manifestations or whatever you've been talking about or whatever you've been building on a yearly rotation with the collective. And if any type of business that you've been doing has been associated to spiritualism in any way, then you've been on the ride with us. So anyway, and just know that that topic is still, like, the past 2 days, a bunch of moves were made in like a collective brain with a bunch of different people, and now all of that information is kind of being quantified in our collective consciousness in order to start sending out a map to start leading us to back the certain things together. But it's going to be one of those things that if you're not hued up, you can't get the message. Which is great. If we gotta heal them because they can't make any money until they get healed so that they can get the messages. But here's the good news: they don't have to pay the consultant anymore to get the messages. Nobody has to bribe anybody to get any stock tips. Whenever you have clear energy, and your energy is involved in it, you find out. When you have a clean energy source and you give somebody money and it's in an account and you tell us what it's going to do and it starts disrupting in any way, we find out, unfortunately. So the good news is a bunch of data went in. So it's kind of all being moved around to and matched to different timelines and stuff that we had already proven, that the government knew we proved, that no one else really knew we proved, because that was the problem. That's why they didn't want anyone to know, because if they would have said, yo, Chickasaw proved, or whatever in every single line, then it would have changed the game for every single human that was in the vicinity that was being controlled or enslaved, because we had kind of like the root silver string, okay? So, and that's what was up for sale in their reality, supposedly. Now, but also, we just have to, we don't want to abuse it, because in this energy, in order to actually master it, the main thing is to be in the energy to know that when we need it, the move will come, because we understand the power of it. But I think what we're about to be shown is kind of, as a collective, the first time us getting some type of reward from it, either a move that we just made or one that we're about to make, to show us that it's available when we need it. Now, everyone else who is, when I'm talking about that group that I just said that message to, that's completely clear ones that 100% know what I'm talking about, or 100% hued up, have been involved in the transmutation of the energy and the money and the banking systems, kind of like the lead ones that were making sure that we could hold this structure so that the entire human race and financial system didn't get taken over in the process. And we've already walked all our lifetimes and we're out of deaths. And like our timeline literally existed on making these connections and because we've already cleaned everything this past 7 years. The ones of you who are still cleaning the past 7 years, that's what you're cleaning and connecting. Any types of lifetimes, or even This is the part of your journey where you're learning who you are. And a lot of the times you're channeling the dead relative or the one that got to where you were in the line and got taken out of the game. And they're guiding you out. And that happens in totally different ways depending on the energy, which is how you even end up starting to pick that energy up in other people. And it's just part of the journey, but that is what you're doing. Because and this is even the whole thing and like following the footsteps and somebody carrying you. It really is, that's what it is. Like, somebody has already got to that point where you were before, and if it was ununiversally why they were killed or taken out, then when the next one comes along, there's a mantle handed over to it for you to then take the reins and continue to make the connections. When you do that, you're making the connections to the person that came before you. You're making the connections to why that guy even thought it was important to make the connections. And you're making them in your current reality in the energy of whenever you said it. So you go into a flow, and especially on the land, and the land will just freaking, and the grids will just pop you up, like, and that's how you even know your story, because it's like your car will get taken over, you'll end up getting turned around, you'll turn around, but you think that you got lost, but no, you were magnified directly to what energy was pulling you to it. It's the truth, man. It's a trip. And my third eye keeps seeing this really, really, really large prison system out in the middle of these cornfields. Because, I mean, that's why they have prison systems in those fields. Thanks for the cha-chings. I'm dangerous. I'm only dangerous to black magic wizards, sorcerers, warlords, mind control, slavery systems. I'm only dangerous to them. But this is what you learn. Like, it's a trip. Like, they can't hurt us. That's what I mean by walking the desk. Because, I mean, the way it's spread out in the system, I mean, this is resurrection shit. Like, this is... Everybody missed it. We're getting a little bit of a do-over. It's like, okay, hold on, let's try this again. Because heaven really did fall into hell energetically. It did happen. It's like all of what you would, and your fallen angels and all that, whatever. It's evolution. It's a reason that we were, that everything was built off one celestial being. If you wouldn't had a celestial being holding all this together, you wouldn't have had an after-death timeline. But there is a point where Sleeping Beauty needs to wake up. Like, whenever alien races try to come take over her body and make a new fucking weird-ass planetary system for a bunch of weird-ass alien people, but only because it's time for it to rebirth, and everybody forgot long periods of count and time, but only because every war ever fought and every book ever destroyed and every artifact, and why tombs were hidden the way they were, and why tombs and bodies were being displaced, and why mummies were being cracked open and faces destroyed and names erased throughout history, is to prove everything that I'm telling you right now about the long period account that we're currently in the process of basically starting over now. So if you're just now finding out, good news is you're at the beginning of the book. Just hold on. Instructions incoming. Your reality is about to show you what the past 7 years have been up to. Don't worry, you're not going to miss a thing. Just FYI, it runs on a reel in your life. And if you're in the line and we got hit with it, then it's going to show up for you in some way. If your energy's high, you can catch it and you learn how to deal with it. And then whenever you do and you clear your energy and you're responsible, then your consciousness can move up to higher levels to where you can move around Bitcoin and make money when you need to and do it with your energy and your breath and things like that. Because then what are you going to do with it? This is all conscious currency. You're not even going to be able to do that unless your intention is to do something with it to assist the collective in some way. Not to say that you can't look great and be reasonable and live a better life. No, not saying that. You get to have that too, but you get to have that because you're doing something with the rest of it for the collective, right? That's and those of us who are making these drops and stuff, like we're the feminine, it's like our energies are what's holding it up to begin with, and we know it. We're just still watching them pull strings, and now we're starting to figure out how to like make moves to see what ripples it makes. Because the funny thing is, it's called ripple, but I mean, we know how to make waves, and we did. We made a big wave. So it all the process works really great because you have to learn responsibility, and you're tested to see if you're responsible to a collective. It really is. You get it. So it's like when somebody shows up in a right ascended energy, like at least in the beginning, you have to watch them because depending on who starts backing them, and because they could change on you. But especially in the in the beginning of when it's coming together, we're coming together as a group. Cha-ching. All right. Bye, you guys. Bye, bye, bye. I will talk to you soon. That's it for now, but I'll be back. Bye. Thanks, Nat, for helping.